past, every relic a snap, making history last. Rui the explorer, he's the one. In the sun and the rain he won't run, bringing stories to light. Rui's legend takes flight. From the ruins so old, treasures more than gold. Every
From dear Portugal to Dubai, here I am in Bobadella, which in a country like Portugal, which is home to, well, more than its fair share of fascinating archaeological sites, is home to what is, in my opinion, possibly the most interesting of them. And I've seen quite a few, guys.
He's good, he's good, he's good, he's good. Wicked. It's Portuguese good.
Right, before we get started, I noticed that many of you who enjoy my content still haven't gotten around to subscribing. It costs you nothing to subscribe, but it really helps me out. So go ahead and smash that subscribe button. Go on, smash it. And if you don't...
That's ignorant.
All right, let's get into it. So this isn't the first time that the Bobadella ruins have been in my videos before, but this is quite a special video that I've been wanting to make for a while. Why I find Bobadella so interesting, first of all, it's the village next to mine, so it's somewhere that I can come and check out with regularity. So if I wanted to come and just have a think and just have a sit down in the ambience of the place, what I really like about it is that the ruins are right here front and center in the village. And it's such an interesting place because, as I've mentioned before, you have the Roman ruins right here. And I mean, there's no kind of fenced off area. People are free to come and sit here and read a book. And that's what I really like about it. And we've got so much history right here. So, for example, obviously we've got the Roman stuff, which is, 2,000 years old. And this 2,000-year-old Roman amphitheatre, which is still used to this day. In fact, just a few months ago, my sons performed right here in the Oliveira do Hospital Orchestra. Fantastic place. Who knows? 2,000 years ago, there could have been gladiators right here fighting to the death with lions. And up on the hill, probably my camera won't be able to zoom in enough. But so from this angle, you can see the church from the colonial times of Portugal, the Roman ruins 2,000 years ago. And on the top of the hill, there's evidence of a settlement, which was described to be as being pre-Roman, which is about 1,000 years before the Romans. And then a Neolithic burial chamber thought to have been constructed around 6,000 years ago. All right, so here I am. I'm stood outside the museum, and an absolutely amazing thing happened. I went inside and I got speaking to a very nice gentleman called Rui, and it turned out that he is an archaeologist. And we got chatting about the history of the sites here in Bobadella, and he was explaining that there's many other sites around here in Oliveira do Hospital that a lot of people don't know about. And then something amazing happened. He offered to take me out with him and another archaeologist, Madalena, on a field trip. So of course I said, no, not interested in that. I'm just joking. Of course, I said yes. And that's why you need to stick around in this video, because you're going to see the highlights from that trip. We actually went out over 2 days and it was absolutely amazing. So this video is really not to be missed, guys. But for now, I'm going to let Roy do the speaking. Okay, I just want to introduce you to my good friend Roy, who I met on Tuesday when I went to the museum here in Bobadella. And Roy, can you please tell us a little bit about what you do here?
So I work in the manor house in Oliveira do Hospital. I'm an archaeologist, and well, we study the territory and we try to find new evidence, archaeological, historical evidence. And that's what we are going to do today.
Fantastic. Let's do it, Roy.
My English is a little bit rusty, but I'll try to do my best.
It's better than my Portuguese. Let me say that. Okay, that's great, Roy. Thank you. Let's go. Let's go. And Roy has very kindly agreed to let Matthew come along. And Matthew's very excited, aren't you, Matthew?
We are making the archaeological shortcut of this area, so we have to going all over the fields, the round fields, so everything gets dirty.
No problem at all. No problem at all. All right, so what we're looking at here, guys, is some public works projects going on here in Oliveira do Hospital, and they're doing some excavation down here, and they have a rule that they actually need to have an archaeologist on site to check if any interesting artifacts are uncovered.
Hi.
Hi.
Luis.
Hi, Tony. Tony, hi. Another archaeologist?
Yeah.
So today I've met 3 archaeologists. Before today I knew 0 archaeologists. Now I've met 3 in one day, so that's fantastic.
They grew up in the middle of
yeah. They come out of here, right? Yeah. So can I ask what are you doing?
So this is a big construction, a new part, a new design for the city, the streets, all the sewers.
Yep.
And
as a car driver, we love it. We love all this.
Everybody is enjoying, and is in the historic center of Oliveira Hospital, nearby national monuments. So the law obligates to have an archaeologist to follow all the works. And here I am.
yeah. Perfect. And do you often find artifacts in these?
Yes, this job has been real good for the historic parts and knowledge of this city. Not in this small street, but nearby the courtyard. We have found ruins of an old building from 18th century.
Wow.
And we had to do some field work. We excavated a part of it, and it was a good results.
And are the contractors understanding when because presumably you have to stop the work when you find something?
We stop in one front, they continue to work in other ones, but yes, they understood. They are going, how can I explain? They are getting used to work with archaeologists, so they didn't mind. And they work in other streets. So it was more or less peaceful.
Perfect. Okay, well, thank you very much for your time. Thank you. Obrigado. Okay, so we're here at this massive dolmen. And Roy was explaining to me this is a burial chamber, and up here you can see the roof of the dolmen, and it weighs 15 metric tons. And you might imagine, how could they possibly have put that up there? And my first thought was maybe aliens, but it's not that. And actually the solution is far more simple, but it takes a greater mind than mine to have come up with the obvious solution. And what it was is that actually back when this was constructed, this would have been more or less underground. So this would have been under a hill. So right now we would have had to enter this chamber, we would have had to kind of duck down, come in with the deceased, and put them inside the chamber. The roof would have been dragged on pieces of wood, like rolled along, so rolled along the surface, then put into place, and then to remove the wood would have been burnt. And I asked Roy whether that was a theory or whether that was evidence, and he said that on some of the roofs of these dolmen, you can still see the evidence of the burnt wood. So that's how they know that's true. And why are these sites important? Is because it's evidence of the people of the time, those Neolithic people, of making the transition from being nomads to people who would have to live in more stable communities, and then also that they would have been having a vision of the afterlife. And we can always see with these structures that the doorway always faces to the east. And Roy actually got his compass out. Well, actually he got his colleague Magdalena's compass out and showed me that the doorway is always pointing to the east, which is of course where the sun comes up. So what Roy was saying is that after a while you can recognize that you can look at the topography and you can see certain hill shapes, and after a while Roy can actually recognize which one may have something like a dolmen buried underneath it. And that what you would do is you would go and have a look at that hill and have a look around, see if there's any evidence of old maybe some pottery or other evidence of human activity nearby, and then that would give you the idea that maybe it's worth digging there and seeing what you come up with. So we do some real off-roading here now, guys, to see this dolmen.
See the tracks here?
Well,
no?
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Roy can see that. Roy assures me that we're on a track that apparently we should be able to see. We take his word for it. Yeah, old Nissan Patrol, you can't beat it.
See over there? Look.
Ah,
astonished.
wow.
Whew. I reach here.
Okay guys, so here we are at another very special dolmen, a little bit like the last one, a burial site, and again the doorway facing east. East being over there, we can see the sun up there coming up from the east. And what Roy was explaining is obviously the people who built this dolmen had plenty of material for the building. So as we can see, there's a lot of granite on the surface of this area. And what Roy was explaining to me is that this is also evidence that this whole region would have actually been under the ocean. Obviously, we're talking millions of years ago. So yeah, we can see lots and lots of granite, and that's why this material was available to build these dolmens. And something that Roy was saying is quite difficult as an archaeologist, as you can see here, that the graders have been in and graded these tracks out. And of course, it seems almost obvious that there will be evidence of where the people who built these dolmens lived, probably very close to here, and that this sort of activity, grading these tracks and various other farming and industrial activity around here, ends up destroying the evidence that the archaeologists look for. So yeah, it's a little bit of a conflict maybe between the archaeologists and the people who use the land for other purposes. So, and I think another point that Roy made with regard to perhaps the carelessness with which some of the land around here has been treated is remembering that after all this is a burial site, so it should be treated with some respect. So it's mid-morning now and it's starting to heat up, so we're going to stop for a few minutes and have a sandwich and drink some water. So guys, Roy was telling me that the last time he was here was about 8 years ago at this site, and that's actually before the big fires of 2017. So he was saying all of this area was all really a lot of pine trees. Wow. Wow. Yeah. So this is some clay pottery that Roy has just found on the ground very easily. And another piece. So this is the evidence that of the human activity just right here around this burial site. And I think this is why Roy was saying it's disappointing that, for example, the grader has kind of been through here so haphazardly, because it's causing damage to the evidence that the archaeologists would be able to find. So yeah, 8 years. So what they're going to do is Magdalena's going to take a photo of the site for the records. So we can see down here, Anta da Sobreda. So Sobreda is the town nearby, and Anta is Portuguese for dolmen. Yeah. So Roy was just saying the scientific pictures have to have all of these items. Yeah. So we have the chalkboard that gives the information about which particular site this is, and then this measure, and then the arrow that you can see there is pointing to the north.
This is a little bit different.
Wow. Oh, you can see the curve on that one. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's really interesting. So I was saying, Roy was showing how very easily you can pick up this kind of material near these sites. But the composition of the clay can actually tell you a lot about how the method by which the clay was hardened. So, for example, he can recognize when you break these, and you can see the black inside. That shows that it was dried, kiln dried, or baked using a method where it was heated up inside the kiln, and the smoke wasn't allowed to escape, and that causes this to look how it does. And you can also see some of the impurities, like the mica. You can see a little bit, I'm not sure if the camera will pick it up, a little bit shiny in there. And yeah, so you're able to also kind of date the material. So for example, this is probably about 3,000-year-old clay. Yeah, give or take a few hundred years. So Roy's going to bring the old Nissan Patrol up behind the dolmen, because Magdalena wants to get a photo from high ground, and this is definitely the right vehicle for the job, guys. I definitely wouldn't try this in my old Vectra, that's for sure.
That if you don't have a dog, you hunt with a cat.
Ah.
Consegues?
So very interesting, guys. Roy was just showing me something over here. Now to you, these may just look like two small hills, but what Roy and Magdalena were explaining is that definitely this one to them looks like it may well be artificial, and also this small one over here has got the right kind of shape. So it's quite possible that there may be dolmen under both of these small hills. So next time we come out here, we'll go up there and have a look and see if we can find any evidence of human activity. And if so, we will do a survey up there and see if we can see what's underneath. All right, guys, so we're back in this location. This is actually a few days after I left you guys last time. You can see the patrol parked over there. I'm not sure if you'll remember that big rock, but that's a bit of a landmark around here. And we were looking for this tomb, but we weren't able to find it. And what it turns out is the survey had been done on this particular site probably 15 or so years ago. So before anyone had the benefit of GPS and that type of thing. But Roy and Magdalena very kindly came back on Friday to find this for us to look at, and wow, check this out, guys. Check this out. So what we're looking at here is an adult sized tomb which has been carved into the granite, and we call this shape anthropomorphic. Please forgive me if I haven't pronounced that correctly, even though it's an English word. It's not a word I say every day. But we could clearly see the shape, so the feet would have been here, and then I think some width for the shoulders and the head. And the direction is right. So the feet will be pointing towards the towards the
Look to the east normally.
Ah, yeah. And we can see a little bit cloudy today, but we can see the Serra da Estrela mountain range, which is the highest mountain range in, I would have to say, mainland Portugal. Otherwise, some Portuguese people remind me that it's not the highest mountain in Portugal.
No.
It's the highest mountain in mainland. But wow, this is really, really something. Ah, like the ridge on the edge. So what's the significance of this, Roy?
I say in English the
cover.
The cover was like this and come here and finish here.
Okay.
Support here.
Yeah.
All around.
Yeah, and obviously this has been worn down quite a lot by the weather, because I think you were saying this is probably from about the 5th century. And Roy, can I just ask you, what does this type of site tell us about the people who?
Well, sometimes this is very common in this area of Oliveira do Hospital, and but only we found only 1, 2, 3 graves in the same spot, or even this spur for a small granite rock, right? So we think that belongs, if this is the dead sacred soil, probably around here there was where they live, right? The living spot, right? So, but we think that they are a small family, okay, small family, and the resource of that time they were agriculture resource.
Yep.
And they have to dig the graves in the rock.
Yeah, I understand. So Roy actually explained earlier that what they believe is part of the reason for burying people in the granite like this is because they were agricultural people, and they were worried that when the bodies were decomposing, that the remains would leach into the ground, and then they would end up consuming the bodies. Okay, if I fit in, everyone will know that I lie about my height. Oh,
almost.
Not quite. There we go. I told you I was 178 centimeters tall, everybody. Yeah, that's it. Perfect. There we go.
That's a centimeter.
Yeah. That's what happens when you don't pay the guy enough money. It's quite amusing to me when I look at this now, because before we got here, I asked Roy, I said, perhaps people would walk past and not realise what it was, and I think it's pretty clear if you walk past this, you'd know. Right, guys, we just found a good place to stop and take a break, and this is really a good opportunity to show you what the landscape looks like here. So over in the distance you can see the mountains. Unfortunately there's a bit of cloud there, but if you look over that way, this is Tor up here, which is the highest point in mainland Portugal, about 2,000 meters. But yeah, beautiful landscape. Although Rory was telling me that when he was last stood here on this outcrop, he actually couldn't see the mountains because of the, so you can see, for example, that one standing tree there would obscure the mountains, but he said it was all like that. This was all trees before the big fires of 2017. But nonetheless, absolutely stunning landscape. But just to try and give you guys an idea, we're really in the middle of nowhere. I mean, if Roy and Madalena disappeared now, I've literally got no clue how to get anywhere. We are in the middle of nowhere. We're not on any, there's no sealed roads. There's the occasional farmhouse dotted about, but as you can see in this whole view, I could possibly see a human structure over there, but yeah, really wild out here. But I imagine we're only about 5 or 6 kilometers from Oliveira do Hospital, but that's what it's like out here in rural Portugal. You can go to villages and you can go to towns, but the reality is most of the space nobody's living here. So yeah, still pretty wild and pretty cool. So what we're looking for now, guys, a little bit of a needle in a haystack maybe, but we're looking for a rock formation where we will be able to see an ancient wine press. So that should be interesting for a lot of you guys who view my channel. I'm not saying that you guys drink a lot of wine, but we know we do. We know we do, don't we? Right, guys. So when we go out to the field, we've got to take lots and lots of equipment. So Madalena and Rui have both got backpacks, camera equipment, trowels in case we get into any trouble. And I feel a bit like Indiana Jones now, guys. I've got a bucket with I don't know what, but yeah, I'm officially an archaeologist for the afternoon anyway. So they keep telling me that archaeology is nothing like Indiana Jones, but we're cutting our way through the path with a machete. So what's happening, guys? Hope you can hear me. There's a bit of a wind up now. Should be okay. We've climbed up onto this high sort of rocky outcrop. You can see the chariot down there. And why we've climbed up here is so that we've got a little bit of a better view to look down and see if we can see the site. What it reminds me of in a way, guys, is you've probably noticed if you've ever been swimming out at sea or something and just even small waves can obscure your view. It's a little bit like that. When you're down level, you can see rocks, but you can't see any of the features that are on top of them. So I think we found it. All right, so here we are, guys. We found the ancient wine press. And Roy was saying it's in a triangle shape, but I might even say it's in a heart shape. What do you think? Heart for love of wine. So at the bottom there, you lay down with your mouth open. So their lean-to shed would have been up there. You can see the groove, hopefully. You can see, the zoom on this camera is not so good, guys, but if you can see that big boulder, there's a distinct kind of triangle groove up there where they would have put wood in to form a roof. And so this would have been a shelter for the people working on this press. Probably. So yeah, you can see how it would have worked. They would have stood up there pressing the grapes, and then the juice would have flowed down here and then into this receptacle. And then here they would have had some kind of a tap so that they could fill the bottles. And the bottles would then have been taken away somewhere else for fermentation. Yeah, so what's happening now is Roy and Madalena are cleaning up the site to enable them to take clear scientific photos. Okay, so each time they do a site survey like this, they have to complete a ficha de campo. Yeah, so even Indiana Jones has to do paperwork, guys. There's no escaping it. There's no escaping it. Okay. All right, guys, I think I'm going to wrap the video up here. But before I do, I just want to give a real big shout out and a thank you to Roy and Madalena, and just give some credit to the local government here in Oliveira do Hospital for taking care of such a beautiful site and ensuring the preservation of the archaeological sites in the district as well for future generations. If you like this type of content and you're new around here, please consider subscribing. It really helps me. And if you like the video, please give it a thumbs up. Muito obrigado, amigos. Ciao.